What's going on, people? Welcome back to another John Sinclair TV. Back with another match preview show between Fulham and Newcastle United at Craven Cottage. I've got two lads who decided to join my channel. Hi to Jamie. Hi to you, mate. You okay?
Yes, I'm not too bad, John. How are you doing?
I'm absolutely fine. It's been quite a while and since we
Yes.
chatted, like we went on holiday, of course. And how was your holiday?
Yes, it was really nice. Although it was really hot when I was there. Met a good few bunch of people out there. You know, they weren't football fans, which is surprising, knowing the percentage of people like football quite highly. But yeah, how was your time in Japan?
It's been absolutely amazing, absolutely fantastic. I mean, it's the best holiday I've been for a long, long time. It's 10 nights. I went to two PCs and friendlies. I went to I went to under 15 games. I did two Disneys, the Disney Resort and Sea, and the weather's absolutely sweltering. 38 during the day, 28 on a night time. So it is absolutely necking. But hey ho. And so it's really, really good. So really a good time. And I've got a Fulham fan in the house, and thanks to Jamie, I've got Jaezon, season ticket holder at Craven Cottage. How are you, Jay? You good?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me on the channel.
Fantastic stuff, fantastic stuff. And guys, if you like the video, like what you watch, make sure you hit that like and hit subscribe button. And if you like to super chat is open all the time. So just donate what you want to give. And if you'd like to become a member, it is just 99p. And I'm sure that you know all about it. I've got Jordan, big Liverpool fan. Hi to Jordan, hope you're well. And like I said before, if you're new to the channel, like what you watch, then please can you make sure you continue like subscribe. It helps make the community along with. Thank you very much indeed. And I've got Alfie. God bless you to Alfie as well. And also to ADB as well. I bet Newcastle fan. 7-0, need bother. Bet you a pint. You know what? I hope it's 7-0. Can't see it. You never know. Right, Jamie. We're going to talk about our form. We played 4 games, I believe. Is it 4 games we played? And we've got 10 points from the first 4 games. We're third in the table. If we win this game, we go top of the table. Are you happy with Newcastle's form so far? Are we playing well? Have we clicked yet? Or are we just finding a way of winning games?
The last point's correct. I think you've just found ways to win games and get points. I think it's been a really good start for Newcastle United. It's the best start they've ever had in Premier League history. So of course, it's been a really good start, regardless of the way that they've won. But the way that they've won hasn't been the most entertaining style. And weirdly enough, I was speaking to Jason about this earlier. You've won 2-1 twice. You've had 2 draws and you've won 1-0. And the majority of these goals have all come in the second half, 75th, 80th, 78th, 77th minute, which isn't really convincing for a fan who's going to games. Yes, it provides some aspect of, can we score? Will we leave it late again? But is that a way to play football? Yes. But is it a way to play confident football? I'd say no. So I think they've had a really good start to the season. But again, they haven't played top-end teams. Obviously, the win against Spurs, a really huge result. But Southampton, you'd expect them to win. Bournemouth, you'd expect a draw at least, which obviously you got. Wolves, I'd expect to win, which you have had. But again, Forest in the Cup, 1-1 on penalties, not really that convincing. Overall, good start to the season, but it can be a bit better.
Yeah, I kind of agree. When you look at it, right, he's still playing Sean Longstaff in the midfield instead of Tonali. Tonali's come and done good bits. And you know what? I mean, wasn't the best to start the first game, and Fabian Shaw got sent off, then 3-game ban. Now he's come back, add a bit of comment to the team. I know Emil Kraft has been unlucky because I thought he's played really well, and I think he's been unlucky, the Swede, because Fabian's come back in and he had a good game. Second half, much better. First half, I thought a bit iffy, but second half, much better. Like, fantastic goal.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, you want defenders that can score goals. It's kind of another way that you can win games. He scored in the 75th minute against Wolves in a 2-1 win away at Molineux. But again, is it convincing that you're seeing your centre-backs scoring goals in a 2-1 win? One every so often, yes. But I know Fabian Shaw likes his goals, but it's not that convincing to see him score as often as he does when you're winning 2-1. You'd like to see the strikers and the attackers and midfielders get more goals than the centre-back.
Yeah, fact. Absolute fact. I've got a Fulham fan as well. Big up to Barney. Hope you well. Do go and check out Scarvy Spurs Talk because Barney's someone on that channel as well. They're both best buddies. I hope to see Barney on Saturday for the match. Big up to you. I hope you're well, John. Good to see you all. Looking forward to meeting you at Craven Cottage, John. Barney, I'm looking forward to it, mate. And I cannot wait to meet you. You have to send you a DM. I tell you exactly where I am at, and then we can meet up. And welcome to the show to Jaezon, a big Fulham fan. Season ticket holder. Please show him some love as well in the chat. And welcome to John Sinclair TV. How are you, Jay?
I'm good, thanks. And yeah, I've been looking at Newcastle's form as well. The win against Southampton, that was a good win, especially considering the early red card. Bournemouth perhaps lucky with the last minute fiasco with the disallowed goal and stuff like this. But other than that, it's been a really strong start. Third in the league. It's been a very, very play style type of season for Newcastle as well. There's been games where you've had possession, not had possession. So looking at ways to win, it's been very positive for them.
Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right. I mean, you look at Fulham's start to the season, it's been quite iffy, to be fair. You got 5 points, yeah, and you're 12th at the minute. I mean, you see the 4 goals and at the minute, but look at the season so far. I mean, you had 38 goal attempts, 17 on target. Your problem is, Jay, you just kind of score goals. That's your thing.
Yeah, that's definitely the thing with us. You know, we've got Muniz up top who hasn't been banging in the goals. He's had a lot of big chances as well. So it's not like we can say he's lacked the chances to score. Rao's come in. He scored last game, got sent off at St James's Park last season after the ridiculous challenge on Longstaff, I think it was. But overall, we've been struggling for goals. Smith Rowe's come in. Hopefully he'll add goals as well. Yeah, that's definitely been the problem for us. And, you know, when you look at the games we've had, Leicester, Ipswich, you've got to be expecting more goals from us. And it's been inconsistent, to say the least.
That is your problem. That's a massive problem. If you look at it against Ipswich, I mean, look, you drew at Portman Road, and then you played West Ham at home. I mean, look, you had so many chances again. Bassey should have scored right at the end after you see that equalising. But West Ham were absolutely poor, and they got that shot on target. That was it. But your problem is you need to turn those draws into wins, and if you do that, I think Marcus Silva do a fantastic job, and I think he's done a really good job at your football club as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Marco Silva is certainly loved here at Craven Cottage, and he's somewhat got the support from the board with the signings of Anderson and Smith Rowe and Berger this season. But the striker, it can be an issue for us this season, especially the fact that we've let Jay Stansfield go to Birmingham. Yes, he's not proven in the Prem, but he's another source of goals, another player who can find the net. But yeah, striker's the main issue for us right now.
Absolutely. Atalanta, I think, had a penalty saved. It was a double save, by the way, and I think they missed their pen. Double save, apparently. Let's look at some Barney's comments as well. Always been an issue. We've got the players to create chances and lacked a clinical edge in games. Smith Rowe is going to provide a good option. We should have killed off the game against West Ham 100% because he had the chances, and that's your problem. And I think Bassey missed that chance at the end. Free header went wide. Big up to Saud. I hope you're well, mate. We'll come good. It's a confidence issue for the strikers, I feel. Big up to Alan as well. Hi to Alan. Hope you're good. It's been a long while, mate. And agree, we need to get a replacement in, and that is the thing. Right, let's talk about the first statement as well. We're going to go straight on to the head-to-head. That, Jamie, we're going to love this. Newcastle have won the last 6 games in all competitions against Fulham, and we're looking good. We love going to Craven Cottage. We win there twice this year, 2 in the cup, and a brother get married to school before the end of the season. We just love going to the cottage, don't we?
For me, and we look at it historically as well, I was about to mention in the 18-19 season, Fulham got relegated, of course, finished 19th, 26 points. They had a really slow start, 4 points in 4 games. This season, they've only got 5 in 4 games. So there's not really too much of a difference historically. And you look into 2013-14, a very similar thing. 3 points after 4 games, they got relegated. So it's really not a good position to be if you're a Fulham fan right now. Although some of the football can be positive, £34 million spent on Smith Rowe. However, you mentioned the historical record versus the two sides. Newcastle with 14 wins out of the 30 that they've played. On the weekend will be the 31st time they've played each other in the Premier League. And of course, it's a really big achievement to win that many games against a really big and historical club such as Fulham. Although I would put Newcastle as obvious favourites. Jaezon would, I'm sure, disagree with me as he did on the trades earlier. However, I do think there's no really way other around it. Unless there's a draw, I do not see Fulham winning at all this Saturday.
Yeah. In fact, let's make it another win on Saturday. 3 times in the year, we had to call it 3 Point Cottage because every time you get a call of that, I'm sorry, Jay, but let's go on to one of my favourites in the chat, Lorraine. Only 5 foot, but she is a dollar mixture. Hi to Lorraine. I hope you're well, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. We do chat a lot. Big up to HH, Ian, Jamie, and Jason. Hello, John, as well. Don't forget me, HH. You know what I mean? Am I not wanted here?
Of course you are, John. Of course you are.
He's my Sean, my guy. Listen, no problem. Hey, hope you well. Really good get watch so far. Thank you very much indeed for that. And yeah, good lucky win against Coventry yesterday. But listen, at the end of the day, Big Angie's still the right guy for the job, in my opinion, but he needs a bit of time. But the thing is, so you had a Mourinho, you had a Poch, you had a Conte, elite managers, yeah? For me, you had to keep on to Big Ange, give him a go. Jamie, with that elite knowledge, to get the side, and you got one for Onesie, John Harry's channel, and also we got one here for depends on what Fulham turns up. As you know, the threats in Newcastle have the brilliant side, and we need to be on top form. Yep, totally agree. And and big up Jamie, nice to meet you, mate. And that's from Barney as well. Yeah, I mean, let's go on to Jay, right? I mean, you cannot be happy with those stats. The last game, mate. You cannot.
I mean, I've been looking at them, and the last 6 games, aggregate 13-1 to Newcastle. Our last win coming in 16-17. That's when we did the double over you in the championship.
You did?
That was when Ryan Sessegnon scored twice and should have got the third from the penalty if it wasn't for Tim Ream missing. And our last win in the Premier League over you lot was December 2012, and that was when I wasn't even watching Fulham. Yeah, just poor stats there, but hopefully that means a win is surely on the cards for us.
Well, he seems confident, isn't he? But I love a bit of confidence in young people. You know what I mean? And you know what? It's nice to hype it up, which is great, and that's what we love to see. Simple as that. You know, you have confidence in the show. You have to have confidence on the day. That's what it's all about in football, and we love confidence. Yeah, good to have a bit of positivity as well. Let's go on to some more comments. Keep this coming in, please, guys. Thank you very much indeed for that. Let's go on to that one, didn't I? To the stats don't look good from full perspective. It doesn't, mate. It doesn't at all. But you know what? Strange things does happen, and if you win that game, we'd be top of the table because City and Arsenal don't play until Sunday. So let's hope we stay there. Will Isak be fit for Saturday? You're going to touch on something later on, Alan, but as things stand, I don't think it's that good. But it could be 50-50. You have to have confidence, John. That's very true, mate. That's very, 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 very true. And let's go on to the team news as well. We'll start with you, Jay. Carlos finishes, I don't know if you say, he's only absentee. And for Newcastle, Sven, Jamal, Lewis, Callum are ruled out. And Isak is a man of doubt. But I wonder what Eddie will say tomorrow. So we'll start with you, Jay, on Vinicius. And apart from that, Fulham was really good.
Yeah, and to be fair, Vinicius wasn't even in the plans for Marco Silva this season. It was only because we let Jay Stansfield go right at the end. He's been brought back. He was prevented a move to Brazil because of it. So I didn't expect him to be involved anyway. And to be fair, it's probably for the best. He's more likely to get sent off to score, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, that's very, very true. I get that. And you know what it is, right? I mean, I do like your squad. I do like the guy, Antonio Robinson as well. I do like him. And I think he's a really, really good left back. 2 assists this season. And he looks the real deal in America, USA International. I think Poch will love working with him for the national team. And I cannot believe that a bigger club haven't been after this guy. I just don't get it.
Well, I think it might be because of the way modern football is going, with more inverted fullbacks coming into the game, and Anthony Robinson is more of a traditional fullback, and he's got most tackles and interceptions in the league this season with 27. He's one of our, if not our best player. So yeah, we're just very fortunate to keep him, and it's only a matter of time before he gets that big move, I think.
Yeah, 100% exactly. Let's go on to some more comments as well. To Said, even right, Isak, Newcastle still won comfortably. I hope you're right. I really do hope so. We should do, because second half, we did it without Isak, scoring twice to win the game. Osula has to start to give the lad a chance. That's Lorraine. For me, Lorraine, I can see where you're coming from, but if you win him well, right, then I'll bring him on. But this game, at the minute, it's quite important. I've just got a feeling, Lorraine, that Eddie's going to start with Anthony up front. That is my gut feeling if Alex doesn't make it. Raul will be given who's confidence with his goal against West Ham. Robertson is immense. Anderson was superb against West Ham. Looks a class sign. I do like Anderson. I always like Joachim Anderson. I think he's a really good, solid centre back. That sort of player, Jamie, we should have been after in the summer, because there's no way I would pay 70 mil from Mark Gay. I would have gone for this guy all over.
Yeah, I think the Mark Gay transfer saga was just to boost up the greediness of the Crystal Palace owners' pocket, unfortunately. I mean, we look at the injuries that Newcastle have currently got, right? They've got a majority of the main starters, Sven Botman, Lascelles, Wilson, Miley, who would have probably been on the bench, and of course, Alexander Isak. The Isak injury is a weird one. It's a face/an eye injury, so he could play with one of those masks that we've seen Harry Kane and Osimhen playing in the last few years. It's unknown as to whether he'll be playing on the weekend, so maybe there's a bit of optimism between Marco Silva and the fans and the players, as to whether he will start, and they might have to make some tactical adjustments if he does or doesn't start. Now, I think you mentioned about Anthony Robertson signing for Newcastle United. It's an interesting one. Newcastle have really struggled, I think, to make some signings, mainly down to FP. What's it called? FSP and whatever it's called.
PSR.
Yeah,
FFP,
there we
PSR.
go. Yeah, I haven't heard that name in quite a long time. So PSL is, I think, probably what's holding Newcastle back in making any sort of big money moves. But yeah, I think that's really unfortunate. They spent a lot on goalkeepers this summer, which is going to be one to keep an eye on for sure. But yes, I think the injuries at the weekend will be a problem for Newcastle. I think they're going to score a lot less goals. It could be a 1-0, could be a 2-1, but I still do think Newcastle can win without Isak, because I think they can play with Gordon up front, Barnes, who's been in good scoring form, scoring 2 in the last few games.
Yeah.
And of course, they've got Joe Linton, who can be a striker. That's where he first played. But yeah, I think they're going to do well without the two, obviously without Wilson and Isak. And I don't think Isak will be a concern. I still think he'll play.
Yeah. That's a fair shout there. But look, we touched on Harvey Barnes, and we've got to touch on him later on as well, because I've got some interesting stats, so you might have got as well. Big up to Mama Floss, say hi to you, me mod. I hope you're well, and show us the love as well. Jaezon, I'm sorry to say this, but the Toon have got to win our away games. It was not great last season, and you're absolutely right. Our away form was absolutely horrendous last year. And that needs to be fixed up if we are to get top 4 this season. And if you're going to get top 4 this season, top 5, we must beat the likes of Fulham, no disrespect. We're all forecasting this happening. No striker, and we said we needed a striker, and now Isak and Wilson out. That's a fair shout, Louis. That's a flipping fair shout. Look, we've been champion as well. Then we've got to put this young lad, Osula, in. Whether he's fit or not, I don't know. He did play for Denmark, by the way, but he needs to be given a chance here. But I've got a sneaking feeling probably play next Wednesday against Fulham in the Carbo Cup as well. So we got to give him a chance on that one if he does play. But absolutely right. It seems to me that we need an experienced striker. Do you know what? All right. If Isa does decide to go on to a bigger club, we don't get top 4, then I'll go to Gyökeres from Sporting Lisbon or Benjamin Sesko for Leipzig. I'll go for one of those two. Out of those two, I'd get them in straight away. No ifs, no doubt if you're going to move on. Let's go on to more. I heard he's got a toe injury. That's what I've heard as well. And Lorraine will back it up as well. And as well as this eye. So we're going to find out what Eddie have to say tomorrow. That'll be question 110%. Let's go on to the Fulham side. And Jaezon, I mean, look, you got some good players there. I mean, that Irobi as well. But the one I've got to look out for, Newcastle watch out for, is Smith Rowe. This guy cost 34 million quid, record buy. I think this guy's made for Fulham.
Yeah, definitely. He's certainly been very influential and certainly will continue to do so. I mean, last season we struggled for goals. Andreas only got a couple last season, so hopefully Smith Rowe can get in the double digits. Last season for Arsenal, he only made 13 Premier League appearances, with only making 33 minutes in his last 8 games that season. So he's not fully up to scratch at the moment. Marco Silva touched on it, on how he hasn't been able to play 90 minutes so far this season. Whether that will continue this game or he'll have to be subbed off, we'll have to wait to see.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you look at who still plays, he loves to play attacking football. He plays a flat back 4-2-3-1. Lukic as well will come in as well, I'm sure. And also, as I Bassett at back, Robinson at left back, and Kevin Tete, I do like him at right back as well. And I think you're badly missing Williams as well. Now he's left the club now, Williams. So, I mean, it's a different Fulham team. And you're going to get some chances. You look at Old Trafford, you had lots of chances at Old Trafford. You should have won that game.
Yeah, Andreas just messed up the final pass there for Iwobi. But in terms of the starting 11, I think it will be unchanged from the West Ham game. I don't think anyone from the Preston game midweek has won their chance to be in the starting 11 for Saturday. Maybe Nelson in to get that pace on the left-hand side. I mean, Adama's bringing bags full of pace on the right. But yeah, I think it's going to be unchanged. And hopefully this time we can see out a win if we are in that position.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, if you do win against us, then you get stops to go top of the table. So it is what it is. But let's go on to the next one, Jamie. I think we mentioned this. Newcastle kept a clean sheet in the last 4 games against Fulham, all competitions, of course. The last one, 1-0, 3-0 last season at home, and FA Cup 2-0, and we won the game by as well. I think it was 1-0 when Isak got the winner. I think I could be wrong, but we got a number on Fulham, by the way. I mean, Fulham needs to do something about it if they want to break that record.
I think the most important thing, I mean, it's all well and good talking about historics and, you know, the last 4 games they've kept clean sheets. But in Newcastle's previous games this season, they've only kept 1 clean sheet, which was their first game at home to Southampton, who are probably favourites to get relegated alongside Ipswich. So recently, there's been a lot of concessions going into the back of the Newcastle net. You look at Fulham this season, not much better, but in all competitions, 2 clean sheets, played 1 more game. But for Fulham last season, the problem was the average league goals that were being scored was 3.27. It was a record in the Premier League. And Fulham's average goals per game was 1.26. So it's nowhere near even middle of the Premier League because every point counts in terms of that. And the concessions per game for Fulham was 1.84. The 17th worst in the Premier League. So it doesn't really get any much better in terms of these stats from last season. This season, they haven't really built on it too much. They conceded a lot in 1-1s, in 1-1s, in 1-1s. You've got 3 1-1 draws in a row. And obviously, they've not really been that convincing, unfortunately. And I feel like obviously the win, you could count it as a draw. A loss to Preston, 16-15 on penalties, a draw at normal time is not the standard that Fulham fans should be expecting or be wanting anywhere near their football club. It was a definitely embarrassing result for Marcus Silva in the week. It's definitely a cut where Fulham could have progressed. They beat Tottenham in it last year in the opening, maybe 3rd round it was last season. So it's a real slip up, I think, in Fulham's bid for any sort of domestic titles or domestic going far in the FA Cups, Carabao Cups, and it's a real shame for Fulham. But historically, in last season, they haven't done too well in terms of scoring. They've conceded a lot of goals. Historically, in the last 5 games, they're really doing quite poorly.
Yeah, that is the problem. That's the thing. And scoring goals, like I always said, it's been a major problem. But let's hope it keeps it that way by 4:45 on Saturday. Sorry, Jason. And Mama's chatting to Lorraine. Evening to FNVS. I hope you all do subscribe to my podcast, mate. If you can, that'd be amazing. Thanks very much indeed for that. And finally, I imagine it will be a similar side I played against West Ham. The Arsenal lone player Nelson looks very strong to us. Reese! He was great at drawing defenders to him. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I heard back in the summer, new fans were saying, go and get him to play for Newcastle. Not a chance. No way, horsey. I'll start Nelson. I hope they do. I've got to take chances. We have. Yep, indeed you do, Barney. What fabulous guest. Thank you so much, Lorraine. What fabulous chat as well. Yeah, I've got to get it in for Lorraine anyway. I think I'm on a yellow card anyway because I didn't follow the Newcastle fans. I didn't add her in, and she wasn't very pleased about it. So we do love her. Always love Lorraine. As they say, can only get better. It wasn't a good starting lineup. Jamie, I agree. We should have gone stronger against Preston.
Yep.
Yeah, that is the thing. You want to get through the cup games. It's okay playing these weaker teams, but if you want to win the trophy, you got to play the strongest team if you can do it and enough to win the game. When we play Wimbledon, I expect us to put out a strong team as well. If we get back the next game, concentrate on the game in hand. We need more clean sheets, Aston Barney. I think we do as well, because we only had one clean sheet this season. Remember, Cersei, right? And John, would you have to man Mark Smith-Rowe, Trips, or Livramento? For me, I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna stick with Livramento for now because I still think he's good. Okay, he was poor last week. I'm not gonna lie. He was off full of goal as well as 36, but he should have. I don't know if you saw it, but when the cross came in, Cunha had dominant, and he didn't realise he had Lemina breathed down his neck, and he was too slow to react at the end of the day, and that was down to him as well as Longstaff.
It's just one of those goals. It's just one of those good goals that you unfortunately have to deny, because it is just one of those good goals that teams will concede throughout a campaign. I did see it. It was a really spectacular, mindful thinking from Cunha. But of course, there should be a bit more organisation. The reason why they're good goals is because they shouldn't be scored, right? So there should have been something in the way that would have meant that he didn't score the goal. But yeah, it was definitely poor defending. In terms of Livramento or Kieran Trippier up against the wingers, I would definitely put Livramento. I think we saw it in the Euros. Trippier wasn't good enough on an international level. In a Premier League level, there's not too much difference. You're still playing at a very competitive level. Trippier is losing himself a pace. Livramento's got the pace to get back if he was to get run past or lose the possession. So yeah, Livramento for me.
Yeah, I'm 100%. I'm just looking at a stat there as well before we get back to Jay, right? I mean, points gained from loose positions, we collected 4 points. There's a goal behind Bournemouth, we drew. A goal behind against Wolves, we drew as well. Also, shots on target, with shots in total, 26 shots from Newcastle, 15 shots on the target as well. So we ain't done that bad as well. Shots off 11, 14 block shots. You know what? 83 shots we had this season so far. That's an average of 20 per game. That's what I like to see as well. Let's move on to we're gonna do we're gonna get Jaden in as well. I mean, we started you about your team before we got our team. Who's your formation for Saturday, and what formation would you play? Because I tried to create formation for Newcastle, not for you.
Well, I think Marco is going to go with the 4-2-3-1. Andreas in the 8s alongside Lukic, who will be in the 6. I think Berger will come in eventually to play alongside Lukic. I mean, Lukic has been exceptional, especially when you have to take into account that Pelini's gone in the summer, so we've lost that midfield prowess in him. But Andreas has played in the 8s and at times has been caught out. I mean, Ipswich's goal that we conceded to them shows, and there was a couple of times against Man United where we were exposed. Perhaps that's because Kearney came on as well and we were going more attacking. But I think it's going to be a 4-2-3-1. Adama on the right, he's been very influential for us this season. And Smith-Rowe is going to be in that 10 position. So in the question about Trippier or Livramento, I think it's going to be one of the centre-backs or the CDMs defending Smith-Rowe instead of the right-back. But yeah, I think that's going to be our formation.
Yeah, I mean, I like Lukic, Craven Cottage as well, and I think he's a really decent player. He's playing the part now for your team as well. Strong tackler, makes those late runs as well. I think he's a really good player, and I think he's putting it together. It is simple as that. And I'm going to share the stream on this one because, Jamie, I mean, this is what I reckon is going to be on Saturday. And do keep those comments coming in, please, guys. That'd be amazing. So if I just, what am I doing? I've got to click on person and I share the screen. And if they'll let me do it, there you go. This is what we're going with, right? I mean, if we look at that, I make the one change, right? I mean, we say Isak is going to be in the start for now, right? But I look at the back four, the public goal, the back four, Livramento, Shah, Burn, and Hall. Midfield three, Guimaraes, Joelinton, which I think has been poor this season, to be fair. And I hope Tonali comes back in. And then the front three be Barnes, Gordon, and Isak. Now, if Isak is not fit, That means Gordon will play there, Barnes go on the left, and it looks like Jacob Murphy is going to come on the right-hand side. I mean, would you be happy with that squad against Fulham?
I mean, look, you don't fix things that aren't broken, right? I think that is the best lineup that you can possibly have. I don't think there's any depth in Newcastle's team currently that's going to be doing a lot to beat a team versus Fulham, a Fulham team that aren't really in form. But I think that sort of team with Guimaraes, Tonali, Joe Linton, when they're in form, and you mentioned Joe Linton's not really in form currently, but when they're in form, they're really hard to stop and hard to beat midfield. Isak on his day, sensational. Gordon up front, I think there's a lot of speculation about that. I'd have speculation. He's not a striker. He's a winger. I know at Everton, there probably would have been times where he played up front, but that is not his role. You look at the build that he has. You don't really want that sort of striker if you have faster wingers. You may as well have him out in the wing and have a tall person like Isak up front to head the ball into the back of the net, which you wouldn't have if he wasn't there. So I think Gordon going up could be a bit of a dummy for the wingers to get him behind and score the goals. But yeah, I think if you have Gordon up front, there's a bit of speculation as to whether you could get all 3 points.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm happy with that squad as well. If he picks that team, then I think I'll be comfortable with that as well. I mean, we need someone who's going to mark out Adana, because he's going to be quick. That job will be Lewis Horse's job as well. If we look at the back four, I still think we haven't got the quickest of the back four, to be fair. We need a defender with pace. That's what we need. Hopefully we get one in January, hopefully. But, Jay, we look at that back four we've got. I mean, Adama, Traore, he's the one who's going to be a danger because of his pace. He might not score, he might get a lot of goals, but his pace is going to be an asset.
Yeah, it's going to be very important, especially with how we play. We like to play our counter-attacking football. And I think that's where we sort of lacked last season with Willian growing, becoming older, losing that pace. But now we've got more youthful players. Awobi, he's not the youngest I know, but like Nelson, he's coming in. He's got a lot of pace from Arsenal. Adama, as you say, Smith Rowe, he's certainly not the quickest, but he's certainly faster than what we've had before. And just overall, we've got to be using the pace to our advantage. But for the Newcastle team, you look at our previous games with each other, and it's always one player who seems to pop up and just pull off an absolute masterclass. Last season, it was Lewis Miley. The season before, it was Miguel Almiron that absolutely caused him becoming prime Messi that 1 month. But yeah, it's going to be difficult on Saturday.
Yeah. We've talked about midfield in a bit. Ashley could talk about that. John, I would play Willock instead of J7. I mean, Jamie, I think Alan's got a point, and Lorraine could back it up as well. We'll come on to those two in a minute. And agree, he's key to the way we play. We have that pace. And Barnes Green can agree as well. And like I said, Lorraine's backing up with Alan. Willock in for J7. I mean, Jamie, look at the midfield, right? I mean, Joe Linton has not been great this season. I can't lie. I mean, he gets hustled off the ball. His pass is way off. He gets booked more times. He gets booked more times than Taylor Swift to booking a meal for a partner. I'm not going to lie. But at the end of the day, right, I mean, Joe Willock, I think, will be made for this game. I hope he comes in. But if I make the one change, I think Joe is being off collar. He really has been off collar. And I will not have any problems with Joe Willock coming in to play alongside Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes.
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like Joe Willock is definitely a decent enough player to fit into that team. If you look at both of them when they're both in their form and on top of their game, I'd pick Joe Linton. I'd still think that he's probably the better option. Maybe not for this game if he was to start to pick up form. I like the idea that one of the people in the stream suggested, where if a player isn't performing, they get booted out straight away. I feel like that is the correct option in games like in the Premier League. It's more important than ever to have wins, and obviously every season the average points are getting higher and higher. So it's more competitive than ever. You look at the next 3 games for both sides. You both play City. You both have one game in between. For example, for Newcastle, it's AFC Wimbledon on Tuesday away, which again, you could be affordable to rest some of the players that you have. So you could go all out for this game, rest your players, and then go ahead to Manchester City. And then, of course, for Fulham, you've got Forest away on the weekend, a week on Saturday. Then you've got City away on the 5th of October. So 2 really difficult games in Manchester City for both of the teams, but you would have thought this game's a priority because this is the game before the big hill that you've got to climb over after.
Fact, absolute facts. I mean, this is a massive game. It's like an hors d'oeuvre before the main course of week Saturday. And I know people will happy to take a point of Man City. For me, if you want to get in the top 4 this season, right? I mean, I asked you the question, Jay. If you want to get top 4 this season, right, or top 5, we're going to need to win 3. We need 3 big games against the big hitters. Do you know what I mean? If you win 3 or 4 games against the big hitters, then that gives a good chance. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really it. And Man City, a couple of seasons ago, I think, was it the game where Newcastle went 2-0 up? That was a really big opportunity, and Man City came back into the game. So, yeah, it's going to be really big for them. For Newcastle this season, I don't know what the expectation is. Is it top 4? Is it maybe top 6 and a cup?
Yeah. Top 6.
Top 6, I'll take a trophy. Trophy first before anything else. I want this football club to win me a trophy. We haven't won the trophy since 1955 domestically, and we haven't won the trophy and a European one since 69. Yeah, 68, 69. Yeah, right. Winning a trophy, domestic trophy for this football club, it's insane. We need to get that trophy. So for me, we've got to win a trophy because at the end of the day, we're a massive club and players also win things.
No, absolutely. And you look at the players that you've got, Isak, Barnes, Gordon, those 3 players alone are good enough to go ahead and play for a Manchester City. They're good enough to go ahead and be on the bench in those teams. If they got offered those deals, I'm sure they could possibly go. These sorts of players are looking to have a step up. Tonali's played in the Champions League. I mean, your whole squad has, but he came in with the experience of Champions League, as well as Guimaraes, as well as Paqueta, who came in to West Ham, who hasn't done as well as Guimaraes. I think he's been a really good player in your team, of course. However, I feel as if Eddie Howe could be sniped by a top team. You look at England, you're looking at Lee Carsley when he leaves the England job, although I think he'll get the job. You look at Eddie Howe, who could go to any sort of major team. I think there's definitely a chance for him, as well as Jason Tindall. You look at, like I said, the players that I've just mentioned there. They're good enough to go ahead and play in a team that is currently performing better than Newcastle, although you've had a really good start to the season. And I just feel as if this is prime time. This is a prime team that you have. You look at the squad you've got even 3 seasons ago, completely different to what you have now. I feel as if this is the season or next season where Eddie Howe needs to build on something, win a trophy, or there might be a departure from Newcastle United because the fans need to win.
Yeah, fact. Absolute fact. What do you think of that one, Jay? I mean, we haven't won a trophy since 1955 domestically. That's a long time. 69 years, a long damn time, man.
It's a very long time, but Fulham haven't won a single major honour in our history, so it's
wow.
better than what we've got.
I tell you what, if Fulham wins a trophy for we do, that'll be a madness, absolute madness. But still, Joey is right off his game, I'm afraid. We're all very, very excited for SANDRO, Guimaraes, and Jaezon, and it's not meant to be tragically. Yeah, I mean, Ali could back up as well. Keep Jaezon on the suspense until he gets the act together and it's disciplinary together as well. Because you know what? I'm not going to lie. I just don't. I just think since he signed that new deal, I think Joe's performances be a little bit off in a minute. But I hope he comes back. I don't want to criticize anyone, but we got to say it for how it is. It's as simple as that. And I don't know if I mentioned this as well, guys. Newcastle undefeated in the last 5 Premier League games, while Fulham only won once this season. I mean, Jay, that needs to change very, very quickly because you spent a lot of money. 1 win in the first 4 games. I mean, I know they all love Silva, but something needs to happen.
Well, yeah, it definitely needs to improve. I don't think Marco Silva has any chance of getting sacked unless we somehow get relegated this season. But something that we do have going for us, I mean, last season we got 29 points at home out of the 47, whereas Newcastle got 20 away points out of the 60 total that they got in 23-24. So that is something that we've got going for us for Saturday. But it will be a tough challenge, and so will our next couple of games.
Yeah. Jamie, I'll touch on Harvey B, right? I mean, since his stats, right? I mean, when I think when he starts the games or when he plays the game, 8 goals and 8 they played, 7 goals, 4 assists. I tell you what, this guy, I think he needs to be playing games now. He needs to start games.
Yeah, and you look at the price tag that you signed him for as well. Those sorts of deals and values, and the way that he spent on these players, I think, is really important. And of course, you need to go ahead and play these players that are being spent 30, 40, 50 million pound players. Last 2 games, he's got the goals. You've won because of his goals, actually. You've won 2-1 back-to-back due to his goals. He's been an important player for Newcastle. Just think about if he could have played a few more minutes, how many more goals he would have scored. For a game against Fulham, against a weaker opposition, I think there's absolutely no excuse not to play him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Eddie will play OC as well. If Isak's not fit, I can see exactly what Lorraine's trying to say. Osola to come in up front and play Barnes on the right and Gordon on the left and keep it on there sort of thing. Or they may play Gordon up front and bring Murphy in, which I think he had a stinker. Absolute stinker on Sunday, apart from that shot he had. But saying that, I think Anne's got a point. I've replaced Lewis Hall for Kelly. And just for his speed and tracking back as Fulham have quick wingers. And also FNVS, great knowledge, lads. Thank you very much indeed for that. Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, Jamie, right? I mean, going into the game, right? I mean, I'm confident we win this game, but what are the key areas, do you think? For me, I say the midfield's going to be key. If they get to Tyler the ball, he can make things happen, yeah? But Joel Linton can't afford to flap about if he's picked. Bruno, I love Bruno, but I recognise that he hangs on the ball too long. With Tonali, I think he'll do bits as well. And if he can play those balls into Gordon or Barnes, I think we're going to have a good time.
You mentioned about Guimaraes holding onto the ball for too long. That's an ego thing, unfortunately. I think with Tonali as well, I think he's definitely been told by the manager to release the ball earlier because there's been opportunities this season, last season, the season before, where Newcastle could have scored goals had he passed the ball or had more shots. That is an ego thing. That's the thing that Liverpool have had in recent years. Trent the other week, we lost the game because of him. I don't want to start criticising players too heavily, but it was because of his ego. Mohamed Salah's dropping his arms about at 0-0 against Nottingham Forest. We lost the game. You look at these teams, you look at these players, really sensational players. The midfield is key, but of course the attack scores you the goals, right? So I think for me, the attack's the most important thing. Without Isak, there's a really difficult chance you're going to score. I don't think Gordon's going to be scoring when he's playing in a striker role. Then you could change formation to a 4-4-2, but that means you've got to have 2 strikers, but you can have more midfielders. But apart from that, I think maybe even a 4-2-3-1 could work because you could play Guimaraes in a higher role with 2 DMs behind him. But, it is going to be a difficult game, I think, if Isak doesn't play. But if Isak does play, he's the key that you need to the lock.
Yeah, 110%, 110%. I mean, you've got Jaezon as well. I mean, what are your key points for Newcastle to watch?
I think it's Anderson at centre-back with his long passes. I mean, he completed 10 of them, attempted 19 against West Ham, and with Adama in behind and Iwobi, that is certainly an area that we'll look to exploit. Passing out from the back, we'll look to use him to get us up the pitch. Raul hopefully will be able to hold up play as well, and those will be the attacking main points for us on Saturday.
Yeah, very true. For me, we've got to look out for their midfield. So Lukic can play a bit as well. Traore is pacey on the right side. He can also play as a 10 as well. I tell you what, if he goes past Skin and Kelly or Hall left back, can our defence get back in time? That is the thing. I think Dan Burn and Fabian Schär will have to be on their game. They've got to defend properly. They can defend properly. They can keep clean sheets. However, we cannot mess about. But one key player, Jim, we got to talk about is Nick Pope. Last week, he was outstanding. Second half, couple of great saves. The one for Cunha was unbelievable, man.
It's his time for redemption. He had a broken arm. He was out for a lot of the season prior to this campaign. I think he's a really good player. He's aging. We've got to remember he's aging. But am I right in saying Newcastle have signed a hell of a amount of goalkeepers? So if he's not performing, I'm sure there's others that can step into his place quite easily.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Pope is the one. It's our only hope in goal to do things this season. If he can do that, if he keeps doing what he's doing, makes some saves. Can't blame him for the goal, by the way. The one thing I'm going to criticise Nick Pope is his kicking. His kicking has not been great. And that is the problem in his iron route. For me, if he's a great shot stopper, he's a 10 out of 10. His kicking is a 2 out of 10.
Well, I really like Vlachodimos, your backup goalkeeper that you signed, I think, for about £30 million. You know, you are right. 1-1. I think it's one of these kind of games. I think Newcastle can go ahead and win, but it wouldn't surprise me. That would mean Fulham would have 4 1-1 draws in a row. So it's not really a good record for you to have in your last 4 games. But I do like Vlachodimos. I think he's a really good goalkeeper. He's got a lot more experience in competitions. He's played for his country. I know Nick Pope has, but he's played a lot more for his country. He's played in the Champions League. He's played in European competitions like the Europa League as well as the Champions League. He was a starter at Benfica as well. We have to remember that. He was a starter in the national team as well. He's not a bad goalkeeper. I think he's had a bit of a bad spell at Forest, Nottingham Forest, which is maybe why there's been a bit of eyebrows raised around it. Of course, there was a whole saga between why he had to sign for Newcastle and he didn't really want to leave Nottingham Forest. But for me, I think Nick Pope, this could be his last proper season at the top flight. And then you think, you know, Vlachodimos could be a guy because he's not a bad player to have.
Oh, you're saying this could be Nick Pope's last season in Newcastle United, eh?
Well, look, he needs to live up. He needs to live up to it. I'm saying that if he doesn't, and if he's not doing enough to, as he has done this season, he's done brilliantly. But next season, towards the end of this season, if he doesn't do well enough, you've got a really good backup goalkeeper.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I know that Jamie would probably think differently because a certain Forest team under Vlachodimos, I believe, put 5 past him last season.
I think they might have had. Yeah, we did beat Forest 5-0, and then they replaced him with Matt Sells. Then we lost a reverse fixture.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good game for us, and just a crazy week for us in the end. That week we beat West Ham 5-0 that week as well. So that was a good week. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, good for you, man. Let's go on to another comment. Give the young lad a chance to replace Isak. He scored for England 21s. He knows he might score a hat-trick on Saturday. He's a Danish international, isn't he?
I feel I feel like you can put him up front with 2 good players around him, being Gordon and Harvey Barnes. Even if he doesn't score, I feel like it's better than wasting Gordon and putting him up front. I feel like regardless, do not put Anthony Gordon up front. Put this new under-21 England international player up front. He will do something special, I'm sure.
Yeah. Is he Danish, that guy? Is it Asula Danish? Because I'm sure he's a Danish lad, but he's an England international. Yeah, is he England international? No, he's a Danish under 21, I think.
Yes, you are right. He signed from Italian club. Was it Brescia? Is that what they're called?
No. He came from Sheffield United.
Okay.
And he went on loan at Derby, scored 2 goals for Derby County, played for Sheffield United, hasn't scored a goal at all whatsoever. But you just never know. For me, I mean, he's a Danish lad, Danish under 21 international. So, yeah. So, like Annan said, give the lad a chance. You never know, he might score a hat-trick. Bit fetch on that one, Alan, but I hope you're right.
Who knows?
Who knows? He's got to be confident, haven't we?
Yeah, of course.
But there you go. So, yeah, we're coming to the end of the show as well. But before we do that, we'll do the score predictions and the first goal scorer. Jay, I've got to ask you first. What's the score's going to be, number 1, and he's going to be the first goal scorer?
Oh, I can't see it being a draw. That's one thing I can rule out. I'm going to have to back Fulham. This is from my heart. I can't see us keeping a clean sheet. I'm going to go 2-1 us.
Mm-hmm.
And going to say that Lukic will get on the score sheet. He definitely deserves a goal for his brilliant start to the season.
Fantastic stuff. And Jamie, give a score prediction for Saturday. I could tell you're feeling confident in this game, and the goal scorer. First goal.
Well, we can both agree that both teams are not going to keep a clean sheet. I think it's going to be a 2-1 win to Newcastle. I do think Fulham are going to score first. They've scored the majority of their goals in the first half. I think it'll be 1-0 at half-time. Newcastle come out with a clean slate. As I said to you before, they've scored 4 of their last 6 goals, I believe it was, or 7 goals, past the 75th minute. So come on, there's definitely room in the second half for them to score at least 2 goals. I think that Reece Nelson will get on the score sheet for Fulham. I feel like Harvey Barnes and possibly Soulé could score if he was to start.
Yeah, absolutely. So fingers crossed for that one. It's going to be one of these games. Going to be tight again. It's going to be a tight game, but because we won this year in the cup and also in the league as well, I'm going to keep the unbeaten run going at Fulham. I'm going to go 2-1 at Fulham. I think it's going to be tight, but I think we'll find a way. And Barney's going for one seat, Smith Rowe and Gordon. I'm going to say Gordon's going to score the first. And I think, for me, I say Willock, if he plays, he's going to score the winner for us and to seal the deal by 2-1. And that would take us top of the table if we win that game, because City and Arsenal are playing. So if they both draw, then let's be real, we could stay top. You just never know. So, and Alan said, I'm right. He is Danish. He is indeed. So we're going to wrap the show up. And I know you guys got a lot to do. And it's been a great show for the preview. I've got to do this because I'm off to London tomorrow. I'll be staying in northwest London and head to the match on Saturday. So I can't wait for that. So I'll go ask you first, great show to talk to our guests. Thank you very much indeed. Do subscribe. I think you have done. 2-1 win to Newcastle. So, Jay, what you got? You're not a vlogger yet, but where can you find you on your socials, man?
At JXEZON on Twitter. That's all I've got at the moment.
Yeah, that's fine. Do follow him as well. And Newcastle fans, show the guys some love, and also Fulham fans as well. I'm sure Barney will be on the case as well. The link is down there, his name. And Jamie, what have you got coming up, and where can we find you people?
Well, firstly, John, thank you very much for having me on. It's been an absolute pleasure as per usual. It's here. No, it's here. Jamie.McCready, McCreedy. In the next few weeks, I've got a few interviews that I'm going to start getting back to. I've got a few football coaches, football players that are going to be coming on to the podcast, as well as I hope yourself, John. I'm going to be talking to Tony in the next few weeks as well. Yeah. I'm going to Tottenham next week versus Karabakh with Jaezon as well, actually. We're going together in the Europa League game, so I'm sure that'll be a good game. But yes, I'm going to try and run up the podcast again. We've got a few more guests coming up, but let's get back to it. Let's get back to the running of the podcast, and let's all work together.
Cool stuff. And what's your channel called, Jamie?
Just this. It's just my name. I need to probably change it, but it's Jamie.McCready right there. And it's got all my interviews, got all the podcasts, it's got everything on there, including some, all my content, maybe some match predictions in there, some stadium tours. But yeah, all my interviews are going to go on there. They have done as well.
Fantastic stuff. I'll just put in the link there as well. And that is his channel as well, if it's correct. And Jamie.McCready. And that's his channel there. So do subscribe to his wonderful podcast as well. He's young and just new to the podcast. You know what? It'll get better and better for sure. Thank you, Mr. Little. I appreciate that. Thank you, Barney, as well. You got a Fulham follower as well. Big up, guys. Great show, John. Nice to chat to you and see you on Saturday. Barney, I'm looking forward to that. What you do, send you a DM while I'm at Fulham, and I'll meet you there. Grab an interview as well. And I think it'd be amazing. I think Harry would be happy as well, by the way. So that's it for the preview show. Give us your score predictions in the chat as well. If you can do that, it'd be fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. And I'll be at Craven Cottage on Saturday doing match day vlogs. I'll be doing that, so keep your eyes open for that. And if you see us about, just hit us up and we'll have a chat. So, guys, if you like what we watch, I'll read you backstage, guys. Don't go away. Make sure you like and subscribe. I'll see you back for the next video. And have a good weekend. I'll be the lads.